The Divrei Torah tonight, Eli Nishmas Yitzchak Isaac ben Menashe Tzvi, Nishon Sheb Aliyah, and Bimel Tzeshar Kol Yisrael.
Amen.
Rashi, at the beginning of the parasha, brings to the medrash that Aaron, felt very bad for himself and for Shevet Levi that they didn't participate in Chanukas HaMishkan. Took up the lion's share of last week's parasha. Shevet Levi, he as their Nasi did not participate, and so Rashi brings from Chazal that he was consoled with the fact that Ata Madlik Umeitivus Haneros, you get the menorah, you get that Lokas HaMenorah. So to sort of understand what was he missing out on, and in what way the menorah is a consolation, that it's even more than that. Shochal Gedol Misham, the menorah is even greater than what the Nesiim did. So I'd like to learn with you briefly a very interesting remazim that Rashi brings from Rav Moshe Adarshan on what the Matanos HaNesiim were. And then perhaps we could get a glimpse into in what way the menorah is greater. So Rashi brings from Yisorosh Rav Moshe Adarshan, Karas Kesef. So everyone brought a plate of silver. Min Ois Yosef Begamatria Tov Tov Kuf Lamed. Karas Kesef is Gematria 930, which are as long as Adam Rishon lived. Shalshim Mea Mishkar weighed 130. Al Shem Kishem Mitol Zakiyam Alam Bemev Shoshim Shanaya. That's when Adam had kids, right, to keep the world going. He was 130 years old. Shenemar Vayichi Adam Shoshim Atshana. Adam was 130 years, and he begat in his likeness, and that was Shais. So the obvious question is, who cares? Right? Talking about the years Adam Rishon lived, how old he was when he had kids, and how old he was kids. What about Cain and Hevel? He was 130 when he had Shais. He had Cain and Hevel and other kids before that. So in Mizrak Echad Kesef, right? So there was one Mizrak, is a type of vessel to pour with out of silver. So this is very interesting. It's Gematria Tov Kuf Chaf. It's Gematria 520. Now 520 over here is to be read disjointed. 520. Right? What's Tov Kuf Chaf? Al Shem Noach Shimon told us Ben Tov Kuf Shana, right? That Noach was 500 years old when he had kids. Right? Right? Val Shem Esrim Shana Shigzal Geras Amabu Kodem Tasav, and 20 years earlier, right, prior to his having kids, 20 years earlier, there was the Gzera of the Mabul. So 520 is actually 520. How old he was when he had kids? Right? We don't care how long he lived by Noach. How old he was when he had kids? And 20 years before he had kids, right, was the Gzera of the Mabul, as Rashi says, as I was Mefarish on the Pasuk, Vayu Yom HaMe'avsar, man has 120 years to live at the end of Parshas Bereshis. Right? And then Shivim shekels Keneged Shimos Yotzi Borav. It's Keneged the 70 nations that came out of the children of Noach. Kaf Echad, and there's like one spoon that's Keneged Atosh Nitnam Yerosh HaKoshgul. That came from that's Keneged the Torah that came from the palm of God, and it was 10 gold. Asar Zav Asar Sadibris. The Luchas had the 10 commandments, engraved on them. Meleach Taurus, and that cup was filled with Taurus, with incense. So Rashi says Taurus is Gematria Tariag, Gematria of 613 mitzvahs. If you exchange the kuf for a dalit with the system of atbash, exchange an aleph for a tav, and beis for a shin, and gimel for a reish, right? So dalit is a kuf, right? And then Parachad Keneged Avram Vinu Sheikov Vaikach Ben Bakar. Ayelachad Keneged Yitzchak, and the Ayelachad is Keneged Yitzchak. Shem Vaikach Sa'il Ba'Kes Yitzchak. Keves Echad is Keneged Yaakov Avinu. Vaxav, he fought Yaakov because he fought with Lavan over sheep. And then Seir Izim Lechaper Mechiras Yosef. And then they brought a goat to be Mechaper Mechiras Yosef, kapara for selling Yosef. Because what they did, what was the ruse? They killed a goat and dipped his cloak in blood. So they bring a goat as a chatas to be mechaper for Mechiras Yosef. It was actually Bakar Shlamim and Bakar Shnaim. So for Shlam they brought two cattle. That's Keneged Moshe and Aaron that made peace between us and Kodesh Baruch Hu. Elim, Aturim, and Kvasim. These three types of sheep type of creatures. Three types Keneged Kohanim Vim Yisrael, Keneged Torah Nevim Ksuvim, and there were 5 of each one. Keneged the 5 commandments on one of the luchas, the 5 on the other, and the Chamisha Chumshim. All right, this is what it says in Yisorosh Rav Moshe Darshan. Now, the part about Torah and the Avos, and mitzvahs, that we can understand, that the Shekhinah now is going to dwell in the Mishkan in the merit of the Avos, and in the merit of the fact that we are Makabel Torah and we have Tariq mitzvahs, so that's not so hard to understand. The question is, there are four things that don't belong. Right? How much Adam lived, right? How old he was when he had Chase. How old Noach was when he had kids. We don't care how long he lived. And at 20 years earlier, there was a Gzera of the Mabul. Who cares? And finally, the last thing that doesn't belong is, why do you want to mention Mechiras Yosef at a time like this? That over here, we want to bring a carbon chatos to be mechaper on the chet of Mechiras Yosef. The Rambam's Mar Nevuchim, the first third is a philosophical dictionary, and in the 7th chapter he has a entry on the word Yeled. Right? He goes through in the whole first third, different terms showing that they have a philosophical meaning. So in chapter 7, on the verb Yeled, to beget, to give birth. So he points out that this idea applies to thought. Right? The axioms that you start out with, that's the first generation idea. And then the chidush that you build on that, that's a second generation idea. Right? So chidushei machshavot are called yeladim. Right? And, an example from that in halacha, even though he doesn't use this example, but that's what it means, that they're lamites avos malachos of Shabbos. Right? The first, the way it was in the Mishkan is the first generation idea. That's the Av Malacha. The Tolda is anything that has the same concept. That's the Tolda. So in the Mishkan, if they did Tochen by the Shchikat HaSamamomim, when they ground up the dyes, right? So that's the first generation effect, and from that we learn anything like to grind up an onion. It's also Gedulei Karka. It's the same idea applied to something else. That's a Tolda. That's applying the idea further, second generation idea. Where we also have this in halacha is by the Arba Avos Nezikim, right? So Avos Michlal Deika Toldos, Karen, right? Horn. So anything that has the same idea of Kavanoso Lahazik, like a kick, that's a Tolda of Karen. Shane, Yesh Hanoah Lezek, anything that the animal gets pleasure from doing. So like rolling on fruits, to alleviate a back itch, that's also that's a Tolda of shame because it's getting hanoah from what it's doing, etc., etc. So that's the Av Tolda relationship that we have in halacha is exactly what the Rambam's describing. There's the original idea, and then how you apply the idea further. And he says just like it applies to ideas, right, themselves, axioms to their applications, also goes Rebbe to Talmud. And the Rambam, makes, reference. He doesn't actually quote the whole Chazal, but he's alluding to the famous Chazal, Kol Melamed es ben Chavero Torah, Malav Akosov Kilu Yoda. You teach your friend's son Torah. It's as if you gave birth to him. Right? So, so you see that the idea of to beget, right, applies to ideas, whether it's a Chiddush or whether it's your Talmud, that the ideology is going second generation. So it goes the Rambam further and says that's what it means, right? It says by Adam Arishan that at the age of 130, Vayod b'dmuso b'tzamo. It doesn't say it not by Cain, not by Hevel, and not by the also. It says Vayod Adam Arishan had even more kids that aren't mentioned by name in the Chumash. Never says Vayod b'dmuso b'tzamo. Only by Shais. Why is that? So the Rambam in the same parak says because only Shais was willing to be Makabel the Torah of Adam Arishan. Right? Shais was not just his biological son, he was his ideological son. Right? And therefore it's called Vayod B'dmuso B'tzamo because you know what gives the Tzelem Elokim? The Tzelem Elokim doesn't come from DNA. Right? It's not, our Tzelem is not the shape of our organs. Our Tzelem comes from the Torah. Right? And and this is what it means. That Gemara Bab Metzia, that if your Rebbe's thing went missing and your father, he has an Aveda and your father has an Aveda, you bring back that of your Rebbe's first. She'aviv mevi olam hazeh, Rabbo mevi olam haba. So says the Ari, that's literal. In olam haba, your father is your Rebbe. He gave you the Tzelem that makes you immortal. Right? The Tzelem Elokim comes from the Torah. Right? It doesn't come from the DNA. So Vayod B'dmuso B'tzalmo, he was the one kid who had a Tzelem, because he was the one kid of Adam Rishon that was willing to be Makabel Adam Rishon's Torah. That's what the Rambam says. And he says all the other generations until Noach, where we don't ever see ever again, Vayod B'dmuso B'tzalmo, none of those generations want to be Makabel Adam Rishon's Torah. And they said they were humanoid, but they didn't have a Tzelem Elokim, says the Rambam. And a human being with the potential for Tzelem but doesn't use it, of course, all that potential goes for vices if you don't apply it for good. And that's the hashchasa of all those deiros that there were until the Mabul came and wiped them out. But who survived? Right? Noach. Right? Noach matzachem b'nei Hashem. Noach ish tzadik tamim. Right? So now with this Rambam, he doesn't extend it further, but you can understand a very interesting idea or a thing that Chazal are alluding to. In Chazal, wherever you see the term Ben Noach, what's it referring to? What's a Ben Noach? A goy. Right? A Ben Noach is the good guy. Every time you open a sugya, if it starts off Ben Noach, that's the good guy. Right? Who's keeping the Shem Mitzvah Ben Noach. The bad guy is called Akum. You'll find it throughout Halacha, throughout Chazal. So, right? That's right. That's the bad guy. Right? But the good guy is called a Ben Noach. Why are they exclusively called B'nai Noach and we're not? Right? Am Yisrael is never called B'nai Noach. Right? We're called B'nai Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. As if Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov hatched from somewhere. I mean, they also came from Noach. Right? The pshat is like this. Right? Going with this Rambam. The idea of a Ben over here is referring to ideological children, not DNA. Of course, we all, Am Yisrael also, DNA-wise, traces back to Noach no less than the Goyim. Right? But the Goyim they're B'nai Noach, like we use the term Ben Torah, right? They have the Noach ideology, and they have the Tzelem Elokim that Noach was able to bring into the world that caused a certain stability to humanity that now the world will never be destroyed again. They're not Jewish, right? But they have a certain Tzelem. It's the end of Parshas Noach that says, Ki b'Tzelem Elokim asa asa Adam. It's referred to B'nai Noach, right? He brought a certain Tzelem into the world that stabilized humanity and kept it, above the animal, right? But it's their Tzelem. Am Yisrael is a different Tzelem. Am Yisrael that we call our forefathers Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and that's the halacha. Ein koren la'avos ela l'shlosha. We have three fathers, not more, not less. We don't call Noach Avinu. It's Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. They are our forefathers. They, not more, not less. Ein koren la'avos ela l'shlosha, because the Tzelem of Am Yisrael, that we have a unique form, that Rachmanim, Baishanim, Gomlei Chasarim, the Kaidu Rachmanim from Yaakov Avinu, Baishanim from Yitzchak Avinu, Gomlei Chasarim from Avram Avinu. We have a special form, right, a special Tzelem. Besod Atem Kriyim Adam, then Akum Kriyim Adam. This is what Chazal allude to. We're called Adam, and they're not called Adam. We have a type of Tzelem that's in a certain way reminiscent of Adam Rishon before the sin, whereas their Tzelem is the form that humanity fell to after the sin. So Noach stabilized and gave a certain Tzelem to that humanity, and all the good goyim are B'nai Noach. They're following the ideology, they're following the derech of Noach. We follow the derech of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and if we have a different Tzelem, they're called our fathers, they're called our ideological fathers. And that's what the Tzelem comes from, ideology, not from DNA. The inyan of the Tzelem Elokim of the Adam was that this was supposed to be the creature that has dveikus in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Vasui mikdash shachanti b'socham, as Chazal say, b'tocho lo ne'emar el b'tocham. The Ikar Shechina is supposed to be in Am Yisrael, in the people. But because of Cheta Egel, right, so the Tzelem got tainted. So we have to have, so the Shechina can only be revealed in a special, secure perimeter, where the Tzelem is pure. And that's the Mishkan. All the Rizayar and all the Rishonim and all the Midrashim all agree on one principle, that the Mishkan is set up like a mini universe, and also like a person who is an olam katan, right? The luchos in the aron are like the heart, the kruvim on top of the aron are like the lungs are on top of the heart, etc., etc. It's all in Chazal already, showing parallels between the human form and the construct of the Mishkan and its kalim, right? Because that's called, as it were, a human form that's still pure, because our form has been tainted by Cheda Egel. But of course, that Mishkan will only be by the type of people that have the potential to once again reach that purity that the Shechina will be in the people, right? And not in the cordoned off area. We right now need a secure perimeter because our Tzelem was corrupted, right? But we get the Mishkan because we're destined to be purified, as the Navi says, "V'nasati Shechinasi b'sochachem," right? The Shechina is destined to come back to be in the people and not confined to the Mishkan. Right? And that's what drives the Goyim crazy. Right? That's what drives the Goyim crazy. That's what they're insanely jealous of. Shashchina Shoreh B'Yisrael, the Shechina, dwells amongst the Jewish people. And there was a statement that was being made, right, by the Chanukas HaMishkan, right? Everyone says we're all children of Adam Rishon. That Adam Rishon was a Tzelem Elokim, that's undeniable. God Himself made him. On Adam Rishon says B'Tzalmenu Kidmusenu. 930 years connected Adam Rishon. He was a perfect Tzelem because God Himself made him. The question is, where did the Tzelem go after that? All right, 130 he had Shais. So as like the Rambam that we brought, Shais had a Tzelem Elokim. That's why it says also B'Tzalmo, right? Because he got the Torah of Adam Rishon. Where did it go after that? Right? After that went to Noach. Right? So now we're not so concerned with how long Noach lived because Noach wasn't a perfect Tzelem, but at the age of 500, he had kids. That means he was able to pass on the Tzelem of Bnei Noach that stabilized humanity at a above animal level, that to the point that God swore he'd never destroy the world again. He pulled it off at the age of 500. So now, 20 years earlier was the Gzeira of the Mabul. Right? So seemingly, a Goy has the right to say, we survived the Mabul, we're the Tzelem that God wants. Because 20 years earlier than that was the Gzeira of the Mabul, and after that Noach begat his 3 children who all survived the Mabul. Right? And that's the Goyim's Taina. We survived the Mabul, so we must be the human form that God wants, and there's nothing special about Am Yisrael. But what does it say by that pasuk? Rashi says, like I explained on that pasuk, Lo yadun ruchi b'adam la'olam, b'shegamu basar, v'yam of 120 shana. I'm not going to deal with man, for I'm not going to contend with him forever, for he is flesh. The Gemara on Chulin says, and Daf Kuf Lamed Tes, it's a remiss to Moshe Rabbeinu. B'shegam, for he is flesh, is Gematria Moshe. And that's what the pasuk ends off. He'll live 120 years. Moshe Rabbeinu lived 120 years. Right? That already by the Gzeira of the Mabul, right, that which there was a humanity survived the Mabul was Al Menas to get to Moshe Rabbeinu. And it's really called that the Mabul was continuing until Moshe Rabbeinu was born. That's the secret, says the Zohar, that Moshe Rabbeinu was also in a teva. He was in an ark, right? Because the Mabul kept on going, and that's Moshe Ki Min Amayim Mishisil. He raises above the water. It's like the Mabul was still happening until Moshe Rabbeinu was born, because all the humanity that survived the Mabul was just a intermediary. It was just a, what we say in yeshiva, Shehechi Timtza, a means, right, to get to Moshe Rabbeinu. And that's the message that has to get across, right? That the Tzelem of Noach can't match up to the Tzelem of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Right? But what was the biggest chip in the Tzelem? Mechiras Yosef. Because we hit the big pot, we hit the big times with Yaakov Avinu. That the Gemara says in Bamtzia, Shufrei de Yaakov me'ain Shufrei de Adam Rishon. Yaakov Avinu had the beauty of Adam Rishon before the sin, and the face of Yaakov is engraved on the Kisei HaKavod. Everyone knows all these chazals that, as it were, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov finished the process. The 3 of us were a process to restore the Tzelem that's reminiscent of Adam Rishon Kodem Achet. The biggest chink in that Tzelem was Mechiras Yosef. Because Yosef was supposed to be the bridge between the Avos and the Shvatim, right? And Ki ben Zekunim Hulo, says Rashi, the Ziv Ikunim of Yosef, right? His continence was similar to that of Yaakov. He was supposed to bridge the power of the Avos within the Shvatim. He's like an intermediary between Avos. That's why his 2 kids become Shvatim in own right, Menashe and Ephraim. Right? Selling Yosef was to push Yosef out of Am Yisrael, was to, as it were, cut our lifeline back to the Avos. The Avos were working to restore the Tzelem. Yosef is supposed to be the power that bridges the Avos with the Shvatim. He's Yaakov, within the next generation. Pushing him out, was a disruption of the Tzelem, because it's cutting off our connection to Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. And that's why, when they're reunited in Parshas Vayigash, so it says, Vayef kal tzavarei Binyamin bachal tzavarav. He cried on the necks of Binyamin. So Rashi said, how many necks did Binyamin have? It's connected to 2 Batei Mikdashos that were destined to be destroyed. And he cried on the neck of Yosef, connected Mishkan Shield that got destroyed. Why are they crying about the Chorbanos? Because they knew the Mishkan is going to be incomplete and have a chink in it because of Mechiras Yosef. Mechiras Yosef was a chink, what disrupted the Tzelem, right? Right? And that's what needed a kapara. And that's why here by Chanukas HaMishkan, you need a kapara from Mechiras Yosef, because that's a chink in the Tzelem of Am Yisrael that hasn't been set yet right. Right? And this is what it means, and what this will conclude, right? That the Yevonim, right, the Ramban says that the whole Parshas Ba'aloscha, right, Aaron being consoled was not referring to them, it's referring to Chanukah. It was all remes to Chanukah, that there's going to be another Chanukah in Bayis Sheni that the Kohanim will take, the Chashmonaim or Kohanim, they're going to do it all. Right? Because that was the competition between us and the Yevonim. They weren't willing to accept that Am Yisrael is special. Right? We have a higher Tzelem than they thought that they had perfected human glory. They were the pinnacle of human development, and that's what drove them crazy about Am Yisrael. And what's the indication? Am Yisrael is a whole different type of humanity with a different Tzelem. The Shechina dwells in Am Yisrael, so that's why they were metameh, right? The Beis Hamikdash, right? What stuck it in their face was the Nes HaMenorah, right? Because you shouldn't say it was just a military victory. It wasn't a coincidence. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu to make it clear that Am Yisrael beat the Greeks, right? To show that Am Yisrael is the chosen of the human race and not the Greeks. That was demonstrated with the Neros HaMaracha, and that's what's alluded to in this week's parsha.